Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Treasure Books. In this tutorial we are making these easy DIY button Christmas tree ornaments or embellishments, or you can make mini ones. They can be junk journal charms or little dangles, and they don't even have to be Christmas themed. You can make this all year round. It can just be a stack of buttons. So you can really adapt this project to how you want to use it, make it totally unique and totally your own. We'll discuss all the little details in the tutorial, so let's get started. Okay, I'm going to kick off the tutorial by making this large one, the tree ornament one first, and then we will move on to making these little junk journal embellishment charms, I suppose I would call them. You will notice that they are slightly different. This one has a loop up the top here, and then you can hang whatever you want there, and this one has a knot. So they're just done slightly differently, but of course you can make this one with the loop and this one with the knot. Totally up to you. Let's start making some. So the first thing you're going to do is get your buttons out. If you want to be really pedantic, you can sort and color code your buttons. So you can have red buttons here, green buttons here, etc. I didn't do it that way. I was just kind of picking buttons out of my boxes. So the next thing you want to do is select buttons that are decreasing in size. So you want to go from largest to smallest. They don't all have to be different sizes. So you can notice here I have two large buttons that are actually exactly the same size. The next two, again, same size. The next three, same size, okay? As long as they are kind of ending up looking like a Christmas tree, they're looking like a little triangle. I have on average about 12 buttons in each, and I'm not counting the base. So let's do this first. Okay, so here are the buttons that I want to use, and they're going from largest to smallest, and I actually have 14 buttons here. The little ones have much less than that. So the more buttons, the taller the ornament. Next thing you want to do is prepare some little buttons for your base. I'm using these little ones here, and I'm using 6, and they're all the same size. And I used those buttons for all of them, but instead of kind of stacking them on top of each other like this, I found that they move around a bit, so I just did this. Stack them like that. See? Okay, now that the base is also ready, go ahead and rummage through your broken jewelry and just get stuff out. I really wish I had some star beads, which would be perfect on top of the tree, but I don't. So all I'm going to do is use this, I don't even know what this is. It was a necklace, and I'm just pulling these bits off, and then I have things like this. They're like bead caps, I think they're called. They look perfect on top of the little trees. You can see I used them here and over here, and then the dangly bits, you can see I didn't have any Christmassy kind of stars to go on top. So I was just using what I have. You can use shank buttons as well. Shank buttons are buttons that have this little shank at the back, just like that. And I did try and make a few of the little Christmas tree ornaments using this as the toppers. So I would string that on like that, and it really looks quite nice looking at a front view, but doesn't look that great side view. So I abandoned that idea. But you know, if you don't have anything else, I think you can make it look really cute. You also will need some type of a string. I'm using this gold really thin ribbon. You can also use pipe cleaners because they're a nice strong wire, and you can see that's what I've done over here, created that loop there. That's all I used, a pipe cleaner. Otherwise, what do we have here? I keep all sorts of stuff. So like wires like this, I think I took this out of a ribbon. Some ribbons have that wire on the sides. Yeah, I took it out. Just wire, you know, this is cheap little things. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of this. I'm almost running out, so you want to cut off an approximate amount. I'm not measuring anything. You know, you will need a larger piece if you're using quite a lot of buttons and you anticipate that your ornament is going to be quite large. And here we go. Here's what I have. So now what I like to do, just to make my life a little bit easier, I like to have one piece longer than this one. You'll see in a moment why. We are starting with the base. So we're building the tree from the bottom up. And I'm starting with the base. And the reason why I have them at different levels is so that one hole can go through and then the other one, rather than trying to get them both through at the same time. It will make sense when you start doing it. And now I'm just going to keep building. The next button goes on. And the next button. It's all happening. So you might decide you want a shorter base rather than a longer base, or you might decide you want a longer base. Totally up to you. Just play around. And here we go. This is my base done. And now I'm just going to keep threading the buttons from largest to smallest. Some buttons will have 4 holes, some will have 2. So you just, with the 4 holes, you just thread through the diagonal, the opposing holes, not the holes that are next to each other. And then buttons with the 2 holes, that's a no-brainer. That's how we're going so far. Sometimes this end bit's a bit frays and it's hard to get it through, so I just keep chopping off little bits. And here's my little Christmas tree. The next thing you want to do is tie a knot here at the top. If it's loose, this is what happens. So you want it to be quite tight. So what I do here is I just kind of pull it as tight as I can and then tie a knot. I do it this way, but you can do it the other way, left over right, right over left. I do it like this, and I really want it tight, so I'm just gonna use this, get that really tight. Perfect. Push it all the way down. You just want a knot at the top. That's all we're doing here. Okay, there's my knot. It's still going to have a little bit of movement, but it's not flimsy. I probably could have left myself a little bit more string, but it will do. Okay, so we have a little knot, and now you can have fun. So let's say, for example, you want to stick with buttons and you want to use a shank button to embellish. So what you would do is string it through just one piece of string, and then you have something like this. Look how cool that looks. Really, really cool, but not so cool from this side or the back. I mean, it's not too bad. Okay, so that's the shank button option. What I'm going to use is, I found these, and these are perfect. It came from some type of a bracelet. And the reason why I like this is because, of course, I can thread it right through and then push it down over the knot. So I'm hiding the knot like that. It's just so happens that I have these in my little stash. Look how cool that looks. And not only does it hide the knot, it has a loop. So now I can go ahead and attach something onto that, like here, you see? So I'm just going to remove this. I'm going to use this one. Take it off of that chain and apply it here. And you know, one piece is silver, the other piece is gold. Usually that kind of thing bothers me, but it's not bothering me. And that's what's going on. Look at that. All right, next thing, you might want to finish off with another little something. The ideal thing to finish off with would be something like this. I was eyeballing this, but I was going to use it, but I can't use it just because of the way that it's, you know, it's got 2 holes there. I don't want it to sit like that. I want it to sit like that. So it would need a hole here and here. It would be a perfect little star, but it's just not going to work. So you just kind of go through your, oh, look at this, little stars are only, the only problem is, if I was using a wire, yes, perfect, this would be perfect. But I'm not using a wire, and I can't get both of those strings through this little hole here. So, and I have quite a few of these little pieces, so that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to pop this on. Maybe I'll do 2 of them. And here we go. I'm quite satisfied with how this looks. And now the only thing that's left over to do is to secure this in place. So all I'm going to do again is just tie a knot. To get it really close, I use a little tool. You can use a needle, like a thicker needle, you see, and then you just push it all the way down as far as it can go. Then you pull the thing out and then push some more. And there we go, a little tree ornament. I didn't leave enough string, but that will do. And now tie another knot up here. And here we go, a little Christmas tree ornament done. I think it looks really cool. My light is not the best today, but I think you can see okay. And now this one can also go to my collection. So you can do a mixture of colors, or you can do all one color. You can do all white, you can do all red, all green. You can do, you know, obviously mixture of colors. It can be anything you want it to be, really. So next thing I wanted to do is perhaps make a little charm, and I'm going to use monochrome colors. And you know what? This doesn't even have to be like a Christmas tree thing, okay? You might want to make little button charms, just as button charms. It doesn't have to be Christmas themed. I selected a few buttons. This is how I stack them. I'm using all of the colors that I love. I'm not a big fan of green and reds and bright and all that stuff, so this is more my kind of thing. I only have 2 buttons for the base, and this is how we're going to start this one. So you grab your piece of string, and then instead of starting here like we did before, first thing you're going to do is tie a little knot up here. If you're doing it as a little charm, you know, something like this, you want a tiny little loop. It's up to you actually. I'm sure you know how large you want the loop to be, but I want a tiny little loop. So again, I'm going to use this and push it all the way up. And here we go. There's my little loop. That's exactly what I wanted. And now instead of starting from the base, we are starting from the top of the charm. So we're starting from the whatever piece you chose. So just so you can see visually, we are here. This is all we've got now. And now we're going down. And the base is the last. There it is. And now the next button. And of course you just keep going until all of the buttons are on. And that's what we have so far. That I love how this looks. And then for the base, I'm only going to use 2 buttons for the base. I'm quite happy with just those 2 buttons. And now that's that one done. So basically all you have to do now is tie a knot, and I'm going to do the square knot rather than the knot I was doing before, which I don't know what it's called, only because I don't want that knot to be sticking up. I want it to be as flat as possible. So I'm going to go left over right. I always have to think about this part. I mean, you just tie 2 knots, that's all you're doing. And then right over left, and that creates a square knot, and then you just have it really, really tight. That's it. You have these 2 little, I was thinking of doing something with this. You can add little beads on there. It's an option for sure. But all I'm going to do, once I made sure that that's really quite tight, is I'm going to trim that off. And that's what the bottom looks like. So now I think a good idea might be just to apply a dab of glue, just a little bit of glue on there to be on the safe side. And now you can go ahead and use a little, I'm using a bulb pin here, you know, something to attach this onto something else. Or maybe you can do something like this. You can apply the jump ring on there and then hook this claw clasp, or just the claw. Yeah, it needs a jump ring first. Is that too big? Let's do a little one. I wasn't really planning on doing it this way, but here I am. And now that goes on here, that little loop. Now we're going to close this, and there we have it. I love this idea even more than using this bulb pin. I think this looks absolutely great. Oh, that looks better than I thought. I didn't do that very good. There we go, much better. I'm quite happy with how this looks, and you can just go crazy and make heaps of these while watching TV. Love that top bit there. It doesn't even have to, you can just have a few buttons stacked together. Who doesn't have buttons, right? I suppose people that have that phobia of buttons won't have buttons, but I think as crafters we have quite a few buttons on hand, don't we? Side note, if you choose to use pipe cleaner, you do it in exactly the same way as I've just demonstrated. So you have your pipe cleaner like this, and then instead of you're making a loop up here, but instead of tying that knot, you just simply twist it just a couple of times, and then you have this loop which you can't see. Let's get something through there. So there you go, you have that loop right in there, and then you proceed in exactly the same way. And it might seem like it will be difficult to thread the buttons through. Trust me, it's easier than threading it onto the string because you have this wire in there. Let me show you. Little button, And now you can find, oh, I'm shaking the camera, find the holes and on it goes, right? There we go, you can see that. So it's actually a little bit easier putting these through the holes, and then you just move the button up. Okay, and then when you come to the end, again, you twist, 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 and then you chop off any of the remaining wire. And that's what it looks like. I'm not a huge fan. Maybe if the base was smaller, I don't know, something's off with this one, but it's an option. So there we have it, a fun little project with all these cute little buttons. I think out of all of them, I have to say, this one is my absolute favorite. And this is something that I can keep making throughout the year. These here are most definitely Christmas themed, and they are, you know, Christmas tree ornaments. I mean, they can also be hung off of journals, I suppose, you know, if that's your thing. Like, I'm not a big fan of such heavy, chunky things on spines, but I still think it will look wonderful. I'm in love with this little one. This one is a winner. It's a winner 100%. For my Christmas tree, though, they are all winners, I reckon, for my Christmas tree. I just love them, and especially these little dangly bits which are hiding when I'm showing them to you. I think these are cute little gift, stocking stuffers and little gifts for friends and family. So there we have it. Please let me know what you think. Have you made these before? I've never made them before. Such a simple idea, isn't it? Which one's your favorite? Do you like the little one? Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!